Three, two, one. Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of Pirk podcast. With me today, we have Coach Elie coming in strong for the podcast. Thank you, Coach, for taking your time and coming here to talk about fitness in my podcast.
Thank you very much, Aaron, for having me. It's an honor to be here.
I've known you from like a lot of like posts in Debrecen because I've also seen you working out in Unifit, the gym in Debrecen, Hungary. And I've always wanted to have someone who's like an expert on like fitness, nutrition to talk more about these topics because I myself have gotten a lot of interest in like fitness currently. And I wanted to have someone who I can discuss with and like actually learn more while talking to an expert. So, coach, why don't you introduce yourself, talk about yourself for a few minutes, and tell everyone what you're all about?
Definitely. My passion for fitness started about 7, 8 years ago when I was very overweight, and I had spent a large portion of my life being overweight. And eventually, I was very sick and tired of it. And we all know the story. It started off with the first heartbreak. So I wanted to get to the bottom of it, shed off all that extra weight. And in fact, I did. I bought a book at the time. I remember it was called How to Get Abs in 8 or 12 weeks. And I learned a lot from that book, although it didn't benefit me much in my current coaching days. So I started applying it and I ended up losing 20 kilograms, going from 89 to 69 kilograms. Since that day, I became very passionate about fitness. I was hitting the gym regularly, and any free time I had, I spent it online, straight up researching, reading, exercise, supplementation, workouts, nutrition, whatever you want. And I spent a lot of time walking around preaching, and I would preach a lot, and I never noticed on myself, but over time, as a joke, a bunch of friends started to call me coach. And this started to spread around. So people would ask me to make a meal and workout plan. And I spent 5 years coaching for free before realizing I could charge for this. And then I started to charge for it. And this passion went to a whole new level. Now I was charging for it. And I knew I had to take it to a whole new level. I had to bring a new level of quality, new level of content, and new level of everything. And one thing that never stopped was the constant learning, researching, because my passion for it was very extensive. So I also graduated dentistry last year, and I do have the same passion for dentistry, but I am more passionate about fitness and coaching. So I do really enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. Since like I've also had a huge journey like these past couple of months because I had a shoulder injury. I told you before. I started working out a few months ago, but then like after I got this shoulder injury, I had to stop. And like after I got it treated, one of my friends who's been working out for a while, he said, "Look, you've rested enough. It's time to go hit the gym. There's no more excuses." So like he gave me a very like starter like workout plan in order to me to like get, when you like don't work out for a while and you like have to get started somehow. So he gave me like a plan.
Definitely.
He said, "Follow this 5 times a week." So I went to the gym and I like kept grinding and grinding and grinding. And like it's been 3 months and like I've started to notice differences. And it's one of the best feelings ever, like when you do an exercise that like you could do with like less weight before, and now you like start adding like weights, start adding reps, even like include another set. It's one of the best feelings ever. Like for me, my favorite exercise is the deadlift. And like I'm giving myself milestones, so like I started like working out with like really light weights, and then I started going above and above and above and above. And I have a goal to like reach a deadlift of 160 till the end of the year. Yeah, it's actually one of the things that I'm looking very forward to.
That's an insane goal, and I can definitely relate with that. When you first show up after taking a break, maybe people in Debrecen can relate when exam period shows up, when SCTs peak, you kind of have to stop, and when you come back, it feels like you're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's how I actually discovered that the main key factor for progression is consistency. You should never stop. Even if you're getting in 1, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, you should never ever stop. Even if the diet isn't in place, your nutrition isn't in place, your supplementation isn't in place, you gotta keep it running. But even though that benefits you, because when you come to start again, the muscle memory kicks in. Because
Mm-hmm.
even though you feel like you're starting from scratch, the body isn't really starting from scratch. There is some sort of adaptation that remains, and it comes back much faster. So for me, if I were to stop gymming right now for, let's say, 3-4 months, and I would come back, it would take me about a month or two to get back to the same point because of muscle memory. And that's the beauty of it, you know?
So you're saying that even if you stop working out for a while, like your body still retains the muscle that you have built throughout this certain amount of time.
Not the muscle you have built, because muscle is an adaptation to stress.
Okay.
That muscular growth is an adaptation to stress, which is the weights.
Mhm.
And without that stress, you can't expect your body to maintain that level of muscle, because the body's going to be like, okay, why do I got to keep this? He's not stressing me.
Yeah, fair.
I'm not receiving that stress anymore. Why would I hold on to this muscle? I don't need it for my function. Because in a way, this is a response to stress, that muscular growth. And whether the response is growth or not growth depends on what you do outside the gym. So if you walk into the gym and you produce that stress on the muscles, and you walk outside and you eat zero, rather than resulting in a growth or in a muscular hypertrophy, what we call it, you would have muscular damage.
How
And
come?
that is why it becomes important, because that stress requires recovery.
Okay.
And the recovery comes in many forms: sleep, nutrition, vitamins, minerals, supplementation, whatever you want to call it. But if you're working out and you're not eating sufficiently, the body's receiving stress, but it's not receiving recovery.
Mhm.
How's the muscle going to grow?
So what you're saying
I
is
like
that
to
for building muscle,
go
it's
on.
not important to only work out. There's more factors than just working out.
There are many, many factors. And if we get into it, it's not just the workout. There's a lot, such as nutrition plays a major role in it.
Mm-hmm.
Recovery plays a major role in it. Sometimes you have people working out amazing. The workout's on point, the diet is on point, but they're sleeping 3-4 hours a night, and they're looking in the mirror on a weekly basis, and there are no changes coming through. And I start to analyze. That's why my form of coaching approaches all aspects. It's not just a workout and a meal plan. That's not coaching. Coaching is on a cellular, molecular level. You need to look at the blood test. You need to see what are the underlying problems, what vitamins are missing, what minerals are missing, how are the hormones. Is the person sleeping enough? Is the person stressed? And it's not just physical stress, such as work or workout or whatnot. There's mental stress. It also plays a role. Because if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I've got an exam tomorrow, the stress hormone is going to increase, and that stress hormone places your body under stress.
Okay.
Now, if you have that stress hormone, and then the workout stress, and then a lack of nutrition stress, and then a lack of vitamin stress, you're destroying your body more than you're doing benefit.
So basically, be set to failure.
Definitely. And why I come and preach it this way is because I have made those mistakes. I used to train too much and perhaps eat too little. I used to perhaps undertrain and eat too much, and I've made every mistake until eventually I came through and I was like, okay, this is what's required. Of course, with all the research and whatnot, you come to eventually find the perfect balance, a perfect formula. And each body is different. Some bodies are more equipped to handle more stress. Some bodies work better with less stress. You have people that can hit the gym 3 days a week and they're growing better than people who are hitting the gym 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
You have people that will hit the gym 6 days a week and they will respond better than if they were to hit the gym 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. Because we know the human bodies are different genetic variations, different, lineage.
But the most important thing is always consistency. If you were to
Definitely.
Because I see like a lot of people, even myself, I used to do this because when I was in high school, this was 3 years ago, I started working out as like a 15-year-old, and I'd be like, I'd hit the gym maybe 3 times a week, and I'd hit chest, maybe back if I felt like biceps. When it came to leg day, I'd be like, I'm walking, I'm hitting legs that way. And then I realized that I wasn't even eating a lot. So I used to feel super weak. I couldn't even lift weights. And that's when I realized that I'm doing something wrong. And being a former fat kid, eating is a very fearful thing, because when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, okay, I want to eat, I want to grow muscle, but I don't want to go back to that, to that point. But I've had to come into terms with eating being a crucial factor in growing muscle, having a good workout, and actually even having good health. Because there's a lot of reasons why people work out, right? I'm guessing it has a lot of like health benefits as well. Which, for example, like I know the health benefits of cardio, but other than being strong, what are the like other benefits of having like a fit body, like good workouts? What can you tell me more about that?
That's a very powerful question, because if we truly come to analyze bodybuilding, if you're looking for pure health and not looks, you're better off doing just cardio. Because they did an analysis. They came and analyzed the life expectancy of someone that doesn't move, zero cardio. And they came and analyzed the life expectancy of someone that was moderately or above average when it came to cardiovascular exercise. And they analyzed the life expectancy of cyclists, those cyclists that cycle
Yeah,
kilometers,
yeah.
competitively. And they found that the group that were cycling, their life was prolonged by 4 to 6 years. And the more moderately or above average active people, their life was prolonged by about 1 to 3 years. And those that were sedentary had zero improvements in their life expectancy. And when they did that, they started to realize, okay, wait, the more intensity the cardio is, the better the health benefits. Because in a way, you're forcing your heart to adapt to this. You're forcing it to work into this form. And in a way, it increases your life expectancy. But to get back to your point, if we're talking about raw bodybuilding kills you sooner. Of course, if you're doing it in a proper way and you don't get too big and you're looking good, you're working out, you're moving, you're getting in that increased heart rate, yeah, it comes with the same health benefits as cardio. And naturally, the other aspect that really influences health is what you eat. Because you can walk in and pull through the craziest workout with the craziest cardio, but if you walk out the gym and you go to McDonald's, it was useless.
Yeah.
It was actually useless.
You end up gaining the same amount of calories as you burned. So essentially, just you
Yeah,
did the
100%.
work, and then you just said, oh, you know what, refresh button. Like I'm just gonna waste that entire workout.
But since you mentioned that, you said calories. Okay, let's get into that a bit.
Okay.
Now, a lot of influencers come up and tell you, yeah, like you can eat anything. A calorie is a calorie, and then a calorie is broken down into proteins, fats, and carbs. But we've come to learn that a calorie is not a calorie, because each calorie is different. Now, if I come and I show up with a Big Mac, now let's say a Big Mac's 800 calories. I don't know if my value is right on that one. And I show up with an 800 calorie salad, a tough one that's going to be like a few kilograms. Are those calories similar on a cellular molecular level if we were to analyze them? Would the effects on the body be the same?
I guess no, because like a Big Mac is, I'm guessing it's not the healthiest thing to eat. As where if you were to eat a salad, you'd get a lot more fibers. I'm guessing, which would keep you like full, and also you'd be more energetic, and I guess it would be easier to lose those calories if you were to eat a salad, let's say.
Definitely. Let's put a better comparison. Let me put a plate of chicken breast rice and salad in the
Okay.
plate that totals up to 800 calories.
Okay.
Now, the Big Mac, if you break it down, number one, the source of fats coming from that Big Mac are very harmful. You put that aside, it's going to cause inflammation within the body. Inflammation is usually a response within the body to an insult. Like when a bacteria enters the body, you have a state of, edema in location or whatnot. It's a poor response, and that Big Mac is going to cause inflammation within your gastrointestinal system. The body's not going to use it the same. And you do notice on people that, okay, this dude's on 16 or 1,600 calories and that dude's on 1,600 calories. The dude where the 1,600 calories are coming from chicken breast, vegetables, rice, fruits, whatnot, and the dude who's running just a Big Mac, and I have run that experiment. I've experimented it on myself.
Okay.
I tried losing weight eating only a McDonald's menu item for 2 weeks. I tried losing weight eating only clean for 2 weeks. And you see it on the body composition, like the body composition doesn't appear as well. And this, on a molecular level, it is not the same, because a calorie is not a calorie. For example, protein. The protein in that Big Mac is not high quality protein. It's not the same protein you're getting from the chicken breast. And it's the same concept with the preservatives they use in there. And when I drop this fact on you, a Big Mac has between 2.4 and 3.6 grams of sodium. You know what the recommended daily sodium intake for a human being is?
What is it?
2.3 grams.
So they're going above the recommended. Oh,
They're going beyond and above. And sodium results in water retention.
mm-hmm.
And water retention increases your blood pressure. So that Big Mac is impacting your blood pressure directly,
Okay.
straight up.
So
And
essentially,
that's the concept.
so I've also heard this like, how do I even say? I've heard this like saying that dirty, like I'm gonna correlate it to like bulking because this is what I'm currently doing.
Yeah,
Dirty bulking and actual clean bulking are not the same. I
definitely.
I was looking at an influencer. I can't remember his name because I follow a few influencers online. One of them is Jeff Nippard. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's like one of my favorite.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite fitness influencers currently. And it wasn't a video of Jeff's. It was a video of another guy. Like I think it was on YouTube, and he was talking about how dirty bulking can actually have serious damage on health as compared to clean bulking. Because even though you're eating these like these many calories, these counted calories, you're not having the nutrients, the proper nutrients your body needs to maintain muscle and actually be in good health.
Definitely.
So like as me as someone who like doesn't understand nutrition and like macronutrition and how everything affects your body, like I could be easily, how do I even say, deceived. Well, like, okay, I'm gonna eat a Big Mac. This has this many calories, and then like, for example, let's say I want to eat 2,000 calories. I eat a Big Mac that's 800. Then I eat a bowl of pasta, and I'm like, that's it. I ate my amount of calories for the day, because that's why I wanted to discuss it more with you because you know a lot more about this. I mean, you're a coach, so I wanted to get your like view on this. You know?
Thank you very much. And I would definitely love to put my input on this. So the concept is it's not just about the calories, because it's not just that in terms of micronutrients, a calorie is not a calorie. In terms of macronutrients, so I'm going to analyze one burger I know the values of very well, double cheese McRoyal from McDonald's
Okay.
in Hungary. So that comes with 51 grams protein and 48 grams fat.
Okay.
If you do the math on that, you end up with about again 800 calories.
Mm-hmm.
So the concept is it's also the macros. When it comes to food, there are foods that are calorie dense and ones that are nutrient dense, meaning they are more nutritious, and one that has more calories but less nutrition.
Okay.
And that's how we describe a Big Mac usually. It is calorie dense, but if you look at the macro or the micronutrients on it, it's tough to handle, because you're going to end up with the rest of your day coming from pure chicken breast, especially if you're a person that is trying to lose weight and that 800 calories is gone and something that's not that fulfilling. You're going to be feeling hungry very rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone that each human being has a certain requirement of proteins, carbs, and fats for a given goal. So you're going to struggle to get in those values because your fat's going to be locked out with that Big Mac. Your fats for the day are done if you're losing weight. Now you're stuck trying to meet your protein and carbs without touching your fat. And so ultimately, you're going to have to eat clean to meet those macros without going above your calories, no matter how hard you try. Now, to get back to the clean versus the dirty bulk, a lot of people assume that for you to be clean bulking, there's no way for you to intake anything that's unhealthy. You can't eat chocolate, you can't eat a burger, you can't eat anything, which is rather false. You can factually be clean bulking and still have the opportunity to eat something, whether once in a while or even on the daily, while still maintaining good nutrition. Because a balanced diet is one that is filled with colorful, vegetables and fruits, let's say.
Okay.
And it has a healthy source of protein. And healthy sources of protein can be chicken breast, white fish, turkey breast, salmon, lean beef, you name it, even pork without fat. There are many options. And it comes also with a good carb source now. You can choose many carb sources: white rice, brown rice, potatoes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't usually like bread too much, but you can also have that on your diet.
Okay.
And you require a healthy source of fats. And usually, if 50% of your fat intake is from a healthy fat source, you're good to go. Because you need these healthy fats to protect your heart, to protect your blood vessels, and more importantly, to maintain your hormone levels.
Okay.
Because as a male, what makes you a man?
Testosterone.
Testosterone. And you need that to be in check. And to keep that in check, you need healthy fats because it contributes to testosterone formation or steroidogenesis.
Okay.
And that's the concept here. So you can be following a diet where it's not fully clean and you're still achieving your goal. Because the problem with the dirty bulk is when we say dirty bulk, it's not just about the nature of the food. But a lot of people, when they think dirty bulk, they're not even calculating the protein, fats, carbs.
They're just eating.
They're just eating. And it is a huge mistake to just show up at a meal and be like, yeah, I'm going to eat as much as I can. And I used to think that. I used to think, like, bro, if you go work out and you eat as much as you can, you're going to get big. Yeah, you're going to get big. But people fail to realize that what the human body really needs to synthesize muscle is literally about a 500 calorie surplus, which means 500 calories plus your maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than enough because as a natural athlete, the maximum amount of muscle you can be synthesizing, and that's if you're not a beginner, beginners work much faster,
Okay.
is 0.5 kilograms of muscle a week. So you tell me if I'm dirty bulking and I'm eating as much as I can, and the body's taking that 500 calories it needs for the muscle, where's the rest going?
Exact fat immediately.
Fat. Fat. And the more fat you deposit, the less your muscle building capacity because of a phenomenon we know known as insulin resistance, which is the body's ability to take up nutrients from the blood into the muscle.
Okay.
In a way, that's one explanation of it.
So essentially, if you're eating a lot more, you're not only limiting your like muscle growth, but you're also like increasing the fat load that your body intakes, correct?
Definitely. And to top it all off, the state of insulin resistance is very unhealthy on the body because it creates a state of chronic inflammation. And with the body unable to respond to the amount of food you're eating, it just keeps storing it as fat and fat and fat. Eventually, you won't be building muscle. And that's why I see people bulking for 8, 9, 10 months. I'm like, bro, it's time to drop the fat and get back to building muscle. You
Yeah.
can't just keep bulking forever. Unless you do it wisely. Like if you're clean bulking, you're maintaining your abs on the bulk, which is very achievable if you're, accurate.
So because I've
And
heard a lot of people like characterize bulking this way, bulk until the abs disappear.
yeah,
So this is correct.
this is correct, but you can also bulk without the abs disappearing. You can
Really?
keep them visible. In fact, in the middle of your bulk, you can take a 1-2 week period to resensitize the body. You could go into a deficit for 1 to 2 weeks just to make the abs visible again, just to get that body resensitized, and then jump back on the bulk.
Okay.
And you can play with that for a really long time before really having to cut down and lose that body fat.
Speaking of like losing body fat, since we talked about bulking, what's required to actually lose fat, burn fat, and actually achieve a good physique? Okay, it's currently summer, but let's say next summer, what would it be required to lose the stubborn fat, in the belly area, legs, and actually build a good physique? Other than that.
Okay, so you've jumped into my specialty and my passion, which is shredding.
Oh, it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very good one. So the first rule and the golden rule is caloric deficit, meaning you have to be eating less than what your body burns in a day.
Okay.
So let's say everybody at rest has a certain number of calories their body uses. At rest meaning with zero exercise. You're sitting in your chair watching YouTube, you're not moving.
Yeah.
And this energy is used up by the organs, liver, kidney, lungs,
Yeah.
brain, whatever. Okay? This number is known as the basal metabolic rate, what your body requires with zero physical activity.
Okay.
Now, you go outside and you play football for an hour. And then you go to the gym and you work out for 2 hours. This physical activity gives you a number of calories. Let's say your basal metabolic rate, for example, was 1,400.
Okay.
And the exercise you did outside was about 800. That would place your total energy expenditure at 2,200.
Yeah.
I hope I did the math right with the numbers.
Yeah.
So, therefore, for you to be losing weight, you need to be eating any value that's under 2,200.
That easy.
And for you,
Just eat.
and for you to
Okay.
for you to bulk, you just have to eat above 2,200, and it's that easy.
So in concept, it's just that. Just eat less than what your body uses to maintain.
In concept, and that is the most accurate and best concept.
Because
That is the fact, actually.
because there's a lot of people that, okay, I started getting into the gym like these past couple of months, and I've been doing my research and learning. And like I hear people like saying, how many crunches do I need to do before I get abs? And then I'm like, okay, I learned the secret, I'm gonna let you in on the secret as well. So other than the calorie deficit, like does the workout actually change if you wanted to bulk, wanted to shred, or do you just do the same workout, same reps? Like how does this work? Because I always used to have this idea that you need to work out different in order to bulk and work out different in order to shred.
And a lot of people have that concept, but in fact, what you're doing on the bulk is literally what you're going to reveal on the shred.
Okay.
And the same method you use to build that muscle on the bulk, for that muscle to remain, what is bulking by definition? You are aiming to increase your muscle mass whilst minimizing your fat gain,
Okay.
or keeping it to a minimum, practically, yeah. What is shredding? You are maintaining the muscle mass you built on the bulk whilst losing fat.
Okay.
And as we mentioned in the beginning, where muscular growth is a response to this stress, for you to maintain this muscle whilst losing fat, you would
Okay.
have to provide the body with the same stress,
Yeah.
which is the exercise. So if I'm sitting there doing a bench press to get my chest bigger on the bulk, I'm also going to need to be doing a form of exercise that activates my chest to keep it on the shred. And that makes sense.
But my question is, don't you risk losing muscle mass when you're shredding and eating less calories?
You do, but that's what comes into play. You have to ensure that you are not training too much, because now the body's in a state where recovery is not at optimal, because the body doesn't want to be in a caloric deficit, but you are placing it in this deficit to lose fat.
Okay.
And for you to minimize your muscle loss, of course, shredding comes if you do it very accurately, meaning protein intake, that's what prevents muscle loss. Proper recovery. If you don't overtrain, then yes, you will minimize the muscle loss.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've seen any of my transformations.
Yeah.
I always aim to keep the muscle mass equivalent from the starting point to the ending point.
So essentially,
and I am usually
continue, please.
95% successful throughout doing
Because
so.
I've followed your content for a while now. I've also gotten to learn a lot from your content. For example, you posted a video last night about the lat pull down exercise that people do wrongly, and I've actually seen a lot of people do that exercise wrong in the gym, and for me, every single source of information to the gym is once you analyze it and look at the good sources, it's one of the best things that people use, let's say, internet for and social media for, because I prefer much more having my Instagram filled with gym content of people actually saying this and this and this is being done wrong, and this is the science behind it. This is how you can do it correctly. If you're doing this exercise wrong, it could lead to injury. Then having my Instagram or TikTok page full of like female influencers or whatever. And
100%.
even when I started, I used to be afraid a lot because, as I mentioned, my favorite exercise is the deadlift. I look forward to Thursdays when I have deadlifts. I can't wait to go to the gym, and the first exercise is the deadlift. But the first time I did that exercise, I was super scared because I know that a lot of people have had really bad, like really shitty back injuries, and I didn't want to be one of them at like the age of 20, right? So I started deadlifting with like really like low weights. Like I think the first time I ever did deadlift was 30 kilos, and I used to weigh like 87 kilos. That's how I even started doing that. And when I started, and I have the friend who I mentioned who got me into the gym is like, why don't you try and like lower the reps and see how high you can go? And like going through the weights, the first time I ever lifted a PR was 80 kilos, and I was legit super scared because I lifted without a belt and I could feel like my whole core area just burning. It felt like I was being sliced with a knife. And after that, I was like super scared to lift heavier. And then I
100%.
then I started to like do research and like see how this exercise is meant to be done, what I could be doing wrong. Like if I needed to do this exercise with like lower weight in order to get proper form, I used to do that. Because I see a lot of people doing this as well, ego lifting, like just lifting heavier and heavier with really bad form. So I try to minimize that as much as possible. Like I try to humble myself. And I mean, I realize that fitness is a journey. Like I can't expect results within 1 month or 2 months. I need a
Of
good
course.
consistency, you know?
You mentioned ego lifting, and I was like getting triggered.
Really?
This is like my trigger point. Yeah.
Have you actually like seen people at the gym just go like do some random exercise? They just like stack the machine and just start
Very,
lifting.
very. And for those that have kept up with me and they know like how I preach the exercise science and the biomechanics, you come to understand that more weight does not equal more muscle load.
Mm-hmm.
Because let me give you an example, and this might benefit some people. This is the bicep, and usually a muscle will pull from it will pull where it inserts back to the origin.
Okay.
And so we know that the bicep inserts on the forearm bone, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what it functions to do. And this muscle, to load it, you need to be working exactly this muscle. So what occurs when you come and you put, let's say, if I put on a 30 kg dumbbell and I'm trying to curl it, and I'm curling it with my entire body.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got a whole group of muscles functioning. You've got the upper trapezius taking over, you've got the lower back muscles because you're swinging, you've got a lot going on. And how much load do you actually think is reaching the biceps?
Minimum.
Compared to if I were to grab, minimum, if I were to grab a 10 kilogram dumbbell and stabilize the joint, and I would just execute pure elbow flexion,
Mm-hmm.
which would load it more, that 30 kilogram that's requiring your entire body to function, or that 10 kilogram that's working purely on the biceps?
So essentially what you're saying is that people lifting heavier does not mean they're getting a better workout done.
100%.
Because
100%. You're increasing your risk of injury and you're decreasing your muscle load.
okay.
And for a muscle to grow, you have to load that muscle.
So essentially training heavier does not mean training better.
Definitely, especially if you're compromising form. But the concept is to train heavier without compromising form.
Okay.
When your body is ready to handle that weight, you will be able to handle it with correct form.
Okay.
What's the concept in me benching 40 kg dumbbells if it's damaging my shoulder joint? I require 3-4 accessory muscles just to get it pushed. When if I were to bench 24 kilograms, the weight is loaded on the chest,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting a proper chest muscle load, and the chest is hypertrophying, I'm minimizing the risk of injury. Because if I get injured, I will not be able to continue training. I will not be able to progress. I will not be able to get bigger. Why take that risk?
Exactly. But like, what about exercises in general? Because when you first Google how to work out, you get a million workout plans, splits, and you hear a lot of people saying a lot of different things. There's people who argue that push pull legs is the best split ever. There's people who argue that isolation. There's people who argue that upper body, lower body, you should focus on this sort of exercise, this sort of exercise. What like exercises, splits do you prefer yourself, coach?
Personally, I do prefer the push-pull leg split, but factually speaking, it's not necessarily about the split as much as it is about the number of sets per week for a given muscle group.
Okay. So what does
So
how do you like how do you explain this, the number of sets per muscle group? Is it like the number of exercises and sets you do focused on, let's say, chest?
definitely. So as a general rule, we come and say, okay, for a beginner, you need about 8 to 12 sets for a given muscle group per week.
Okay.
And for an intermediate, and this is a general guideline, it doesn't apply to everyone. I'll explain to you in a second why.
Okay.
12 to 16 is for intermediate, and 16 to 20 plus is for advanced for a given muscle group.
Okay.
That means in a week, and most people overtrain because people walk in and, chest is 12, 13, 15 sets. And then they come, they do another chest day, 15, 16 sets. Okay, the stress requires you to recover from it.
Yeah.
Are you going to recover from 30 sets? Like I would understand if it's an enhanced athlete. Enhanced athletes recover differently. They recover on spot because they're enhanced. But for you to recover, you need to go home, you need to eat, you need to sleep. That muscular tear, that damage that occurred throughout the workout is recovered overnight in your sleep. So I like to describe a muscle as a rose. You got to take care of it. You got to keep that sets in place, appropriate number. You got to feed it well. You got to water it. You got to give it, it's rest. When it comes to selecting exercises, we have exercises, and over time we have come to know. That's why I've come out and I've mentioned, okay, this is the best, this is the best, this is the best. We have come to know over time what is the best for a given muscle group,
Okay.
for a given function, to minimize injury, to keep you safe. You select a given exercise or two or whatever you're attempting to target, and you keep your sets within a limit in that week. Now, let me explain to you why you need a given number of sets per week. We've conducted so many research studies where we came and we started to test out how much, by the way, number of sets per week or number of sets you're doing is referred to as volume.
Okay.
You might have heard this term before. So they conducted these studies and they came to analyze how much volume is good for people,
Yeah.
And they started to see, like, towards an extent, the more volume was increased, the more response in muscular growth. But past a certain number of volume, the muscular growth started to decrease. And it is then where they came to find, like, okay, now we have a sweet spot for volume. And it is different for a beginner, for an intermediate, for an advanced, because if you just show up in the gym, this is a very common mistake. You just showed up, you've never worked out in your life, and you walk in and you're running the same number of sets as someone that's been gymming for 4 years. It does not make sense. Your body does not require that much stress to grow. It can grow with a minimal form of stress. And the last thing I add on, for anyone that's attempting to grow, to progress, you need to be progressively overloading, meaning on a weekly basis, you're either increasing the number of reps, the number of weight, and last, the number of sets.
Okay.
We usually leave this one till the end. We'll usually progress with the weights, with the reps, with everything, and eventually add a set.
Okay.
And after some time, add another set, and so on and so forth.
But I'd also love to hear something from you, because there's a lot of people who just started working out. Me myself, I fall into that category. What words of like encouragement would you have to people that just start working out, or people who want to get in shape? Or I've heard a lot of people say, I'm fat, I'm really like, I feel ashamed to go to the gym because people are gonna like shame me. There's all sorts of like bodybuilders, people that have been doing this for a while. So what words of encouragement would you have for these sorts of people who just want to start out and don't know how, where, and just feel like they won't have any progress or show any results?
I mean, we've come to a modern day and time. Before I get in about, the lack of confidence or whatnot, everything is available online.
Mm-hmm.
And different coaches come with different beliefs. And some coaches might be 100% wrong, some coaches might be 80, 90% right, but no one is 100% on point, you know?
Okay.
So, practically speaking, we've come to a modern day time where all the knowledge is available online. Before you do anything, before you listen to any influencer, before you get on anything, do your research, whether supplements, whether workout, whether nutrition. Make sure to read and read and read and read, and you will get somewhere and experiment with it.
Mm-hmm.
And by experiment, I don't mean go throw on 300 kilograms on the deadlift and try to pull it, but I mean, see what works best for you, see what exercise benefits you, see what exercise gives you a good response, you know? And different bodies respond differently. If you're really in a state where you feel completely lost with the workout, with the diet, with whatnot, consider hiring a coach. Because if you truly analyze it, even coaches need coaches.
Okay.
And you see a lot of coaches, like there are pro coaches, like millions of followers. And when it comes to prepping for a competition, for example, they have a comp coach. It is always nicer to have someone above you, to hand you that workout, that meal plan. But even then, you gotta question it. You should always question what you're receiving. Now, in terms of whether you should be confident, you're just starting out. It's you versus you. I'm a very firm believer in you should never care what people think, because we've all had to start somewhere. No one showed up first day in the gym and they were like, yeah, they were ripped, or they were shredded, or they were big. We all start somewhere. Even the biggest dude in the gym had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And the sooner you believe that, the sooner you realize, okay, you just gotta work on it and be patient with it, and you're gonna get there. No one's judging you for being in the gym.
Like, that's why people go to the gym. They want to get in shape.
Of course.
Thank you, coach. And I actually mean this. Thank you for all the information that you've shared with me in this podcast. The thing, my camera is bugging. Let me just switch to my different camera. Just 1 second.
No worries. Take your time.
Okay, since I switched to my lower quality camera, I would like to thank you, Coach, for actually taking your time and being in this podcast. It was an amazing experience having you here, and I'm really glad that you decided to take some of your time and spend it here with me, talking about a very, very nice topic, which is fitness. And I actually really appreciate you coming here.
Thank you very much for having me, Aaron. And as always, to everyone and to you, if you ever have any questions, feel free to let me know. It was an honor being here, and I hope I helped.
Thank you, Coach. And for everyone out there, I've been Aaron. This has been Coach Elie. Until next time, have a good one.
Much love to everyone.